This is PBS.
About Your House with Bob Yapp was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.
Welcome to today's program, and it's very dear to me because it brings back a lot of great memories from my childhood. It's about yard structures for kids and adults as well, because let's face it, adults like to play in their yards too. And we're going to talk about how to put together playground equipment, how much it costs, all the different options out there, playhouses and clubhouses, another great one. You'd be amazed at all the stuff that's available out there for that, and tree houses, of course. And this is a great one. It was custom designed and built by a father for his kids. It doesn't get any better than that. It has a loft in it. It has all kinds of space inside, screens and windows. And that's what makes it all fun. But you know what? Some of these tree houses started a little bit more of a base root, and in their purest form. Let's go take a look. Well, the ultimate in creativity and resourcefulness for any kid has to be finding a space that's secret and away from the rest of the world, and building a treehouse is a way to do it. Now, it starts out pretty simply, 2x4s nailed onto a tree just so you have a ladder to get up there, and it comes up to a platform, simple plywood and some 2x4s that were being thrown away, and two kids like Megan and Janice sitting up there playing cards.
Hi.
But they also talk about boys, and it's a space to get away from their parents and just do their thing. It's great stuff. Now, what if you want to build a really elaborate treehouse like the one we looked at a few minutes ago? Well, let's go find out how that's done. Well, tree houses are really cool, but getting them built is the main issue. What tree do you use? How do you do it? How do you design it? And I'm here today with Mike and Tina Caveney, and we are going to talk about their tree house, which is up there behind us. We'll show you that in just a second. It's a great tree house.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
I love it. Now, what kind of a goofs are you guys to build a tree house in your backyard?
Well, it all started with the arrival of a Smithsonian magazine issue late last year. Had an unbelievable tree house on the cover.
I saw that.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, that's what got me started. And I read the article, and in the back they had some references. And I found on the internet Peter Nelson's book.
Yeah, great book. If you haven't ever seen it, go get it.
Well, he's the guru of tree houses.
Yeah,
so I got that book, and I think Tina thought this was still sort of a passing fad. And then I started.
Joking.
Yeah, I started spending a lot of time sitting up in the tree. I didn't have a lot of choices. We sort of had one tree that you could build a tree house, this willow tree. And I sat up there for a long time, day after day, just kind of looking. And it's funny. I don't think you designed the tree house. I think you go up in the tree and discover where the tree house.
Yeah, how it's laid out with the branches.
Exactly.
You know, it really is up there, and it's a big platform. Now, designing this thing, did you look at all the books that are out there and kind of get an idea of how you wanted to do it?
Well, I did. The books were very helpful. They described about 4 different ways you can keep a house up in a tree. That's important. I didn't want it to fall down. I wanted to stay up there for a long time. So I read about all these different methods that they use, and I decided, well, if one method is good, 4 methods have to be better. So I used all the methods. I used the branches in the tree,
right?
Obviously,
yeah.
I used a steel support that goes down to the ground, which is sort of cheating, but it's a great way to keep...
Yeah, but you camouflaged. It's really cool
how
you did that.
Most people don't even notice it. And there's another way you can support something from above. If you have a strong limb above, I supported it from a chain.
Yeah,
we did that.
That's neat.
And we put a big knee brace off the trunk of the tree that goes up.
At an angle. Yeah, that looks really cool too.
So we got all of that going up here.
Yeah. Plus, there's another feature of the structure of it that we'll talk about when we get up there. But it's so huge. I mean, it's amazing to me. When I first saw the platform, now you've done a lot of work since then.
Yeah, the hard part was the platform, because when you're building the platform up in the tree, there's nothing to stand on.
Right.
And so the book says you should always stay tethered to the tree.
Yeah.
And I did. I got a mountain climber's harness, and I run that up over a branch in the tree. And so if anything horrible should happen, like you're going to fall,
You mean the 3 times I've fallen off houses, I should have been tethered?
Well, I don't know what you'd be tethered to, but in a tree you can tether to a branch up above.
Right.
And so that made me feel very safe up there while I'm hauling beams up and putting it together. Once the platform is done, then you've got a great something to work on.
Yeah. Well, and you've got the ladders all going up there and everything. In fact, if you don't mind, can we go up there?
Well,
I'm ready.
I think we should. Let's
all right,
go.
let's do it. Wow. This is great. You guys coming?
I'm on my way.
All right. Is this a tree house or what, man? This is way up here.
Yeah, we're about 18 feet off the ground.
You okay? You getting up there, Tina?
Yeah,
Thanks, Tina.
close the hatch. Here.
Unreal. You know what's weird about it is that it's so private. I mean, with the willow trees, now, it's not like this year-round, though, is it?
Well, it's this way about 10 months a year. That's the great thing about the willow tree. It's like you're inside a big green room.
Yeah, it's like walls, you know?
That's right.
Now, you're almost done with it, right? If we're looking over here, you can see that the roof comes out. Well, this is a feature you took off the main house.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's all built out of redwood, and we took a lot of little architectural details like that and some other things off our house, which is called California Stick Chalet. It's sort of a Swiss look.
Yeah, sure is. Beautiful. And this is just going to mirror it beautifully. Hey, you're going to put redwood on the roof just like on the siding and everything?
Yeah. One of the things you think about is weight. And the platform weighs a lot. The platform is really strong and tongue
Come on
and
in here,
groove.
Tina.
Sure.
It's tongue and groove 2x6s. So
Screwed down.
Everything is screwed into beams. So the platform's really strong and it's pretty heavy. I wanted the house to try to be lighter. So instead of 2x4s, it's built mostly out of 2x2s. And the redwood, besides do real well in the weather, it's lightweight.
Yeah, and it's real rot resistant.
That's right.
How does it affect the tree? You've done a lot of research on this before you built it. What's the effect on the tree itself?
Well, yeah, I had an arborist come out and look at the tree, and then reading the books, I learned a bit about it. And it doesn't hurt the tree at all. We've got some big bolts going through the tree, but the wood in the middle of a branch or the middle of a trunk is dead wood. It's the old wood.
Right.
So the only part that's living is just under the bark here.
Where the xylem tubes go up and feed the nutrients.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't cut around there, you're doing okay.
And you had like rubber hose around your chain and metal where you've got some wire.
That's right, to protect that layer.
Makes sense. Now, as we go inside here, this is a great space too now. This will be your enclosed part of the structure, right?
Yeah, I actually, after I built the platform, then I drew a plan of the house. And I thought, well, I want to make this house as big as I can. Then I realized the more time I spent up here, it's almost more fun to be out on the deck, inside the green room, so to speak. So I shrunk this back a little bit.
Now, the plan that you drew, you can see this plan right now. He's got several pages, and you went through it, and you got it kind of. But once you started building it, things changed just a little bit?
It did change a little bit. A little bit. The hard part was the roof. I decided I wanted to do this double gabled end
You've got
roof.
valleys in it.
It's really complicated, or at least it was for me. I've never built a roof like this. So that's where the model came in.
Right.
In order to really visualize how these roof sections fit together, I had to build a model.
Well, and especially in a tree, just like this model is showing.
That's right. That's right. And you know, building it on the ground is one thing, but up in the tree, you got to say, well, I can't put it here because there's a branch.
Well, sure.
So it has to fit the space.
Now you have a round hole here that looks out over the mountains.
Yes.
What's going in here?
Well, Tina used to make stained glass windows.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a stained glass window in here that we scavenged.
Is that the
from
one we're
another
looking
house.
at right now?
That's the one.
Oh, that's a
round
nice one, Tina.
It's the house we lived in before. We saved the window from our old house, and we knew we had a reason for saving it. It must have been for there.
So were you worried about him as he's climbing up this tree? I mean, what were you thinking when he started doing
Well,
this?
as I said, I thought he was joking, and then I thought he was nuts when he was talking about it and sitting up in the tree for days at a time. But as soon as he put the first plank up where I could come up and the ladder was there, I stood up here and I looked around and I said, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get.
It's a great sense.
It's a
great
wonderful feeling to be
Yeah,
up
it is.
here, and so I understand the whole thing now.
So will you rig up a phone up here and the doorbell, or will you just come up here to hide?
You can do either one. You can come up here and let the phone ring and not pay
branch
attention to
office,
the
though.
world. Yeah, this is our branch office up here.
They're both magicians, actually, in the entertainment business here.
That's right.
And so maybe this is a good place to hide and get away from everybody.
Good place to come up and think. You can bring a phone if you want. You can bring a laptop computer up here. So it can be a little office, or it can just be a great place to get away from everything.
Well, out here in Pasadena, California is a great treehouse that you guys put together.
Well, thanks,
and
Bob.
thanks for having us come.
Thanks for coming
Appreciate
by.
it.
Thank you.
You bet.
I think this structure up here, the way you did it, just kind of... Well, for centuries, you know, parents have been trying to figure out ways to give their kids stuff to do. Now, it started out maybe with just like a rope swing off a tree in a backyard, but in reality, over time, it has become more elaborate, like what you're seeing right here, which is in a big park, nice playground, great stuff. And any good playground equipment, of course, starts off with a slide. You gotta have a slide. And then the second part of it, I think, from my perspective, of course, is making sure that you have a swing set. Because without a swing set, you don't have anything to play on. Now, it's a little bit more than what we were doing with ropes off of trees back in the old days. Hi, guys. You having fun? Yeah. All right. Well, a swing set is really my favorite way to go. The question remains, though, what can you do in your own yard? Well, plenty. Let's go take a look. Well, of course, for backyard playground equipment, my favorite way to do it is yourself. Come on back here, somebody I want you to meet. Hi, David, Caleb, how are you?
Well, hello, Bob. How are you?
It's good to see you again.
Good seeing you.
All right, this is David Gatherwright,
Oh.
and this is your backyard,
Yeah.
and this is the man, Caleb. How you doing, Caleb? You having fun? All right. So this is beautiful.
Well, thank you.
You've done a great job. You've got a clubhouse.
Oh, yes.
What else have you got? You got the slide,
We
of
got the
course.
slide. We've got like a little cargo net that he's climbing on right
That's
now.
great.
Yeah. And he's got a little.
Knotted rope coming down there.
Yeah.
This is really good stuff. And this over here is what?
It's like a little merry-go-round.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Well, thank you.
Now, you did this, you put this together yourself.
Yeah, my father-in-law and myself put it together earlier this summer.
How long did it take you to put it together?
Oh, I'd say probably about a good day and a half.
That's not bad.
No, not too bad for a do-it-yourself project.
Now, did you buy a kit then, pre-cut?
It was all pre-cut. We took it home and had to put in all of the accessories, the drills, and the dowels, and the tarp for the tent, and.
So it actually came with the slide, and all these different accessories came in the package?
The cargo nets and some of the ropes and the pole, that was an extra. That's part of the accessories if I wanted to add.
So the whole thing cost you how much?
Oh, you're probably looking at about $350 project.
Not bad,
Not
not
too bad.
And actually, you get all the buzz things that you get in some of the big parks. Well, we were just at a park looking at a big one.
Exactly.
And you've got some of the same stuff going on here.
Well, thank you.
Right in your backyard.
Oh, yeah.
It's great stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for showing it to us.
You're
Appreciate
very
it.
welcome.
The amount of choices that you have out there in playground equipment is just really phenomenal. This is very high-end redwood playground equipment. Now, what I mean by high-end is it's built very well. It's all built with lag bolts. There's nothing sticking out that can get your child to cut their leg or what have you. All those types of things are taken into consideration, and that's important to remember. Now, the range and price for the higher-end stuff is going to be for something real small, about $700, all the way up to about $5,000. You do have some other choices, and they range from going to a hardware store or lumber yard and buying the kits there, and they're going to range in okay quality to not so good. So you really want to check it out and look things over. Now, if you want to build one yourself and design it, you can actually go out and buy components like this slide or swing sets and the chains and the seats and all that stuff and build your own. In fact, this is so much fun, I think I'm going to go swing. take a minute and talk about playground safety. It's really important. You know, 200,000 kids a year are hurt on playgrounds, and 70% of that is from falling off of them. So you want to make sure you talk to your kids about using common sense when they're playing on things. That's the first thing. Now, where you place it is very important too, as far as the ground underneath. Now, you wouldn't want to put a playground set on top of concrete or asphalt because it's like really hard, and that's no good. Here's your best alternative right here. Mulch, hardwood mulch. Looks lovely, doesn't it? But it makes a wonderful surface, so if your kid fell and his head hit, it would just be soft, and that's important. Very important, because you don't want to do that. You need about 6 inches of this stuff on the ground. Now, some people think that pea gravel is the way to go. I disagree, because if you do 6 inches of pea gravel, of course, it's like walking in quicksand, and the pea gravel can grind into a kid's face. So you don't want to do that. We'll get rid of that there. That's nice, clean stuff, huh? Now, what about where you place it in the yard? Well, you don't want to place it like next to a garage or your house or any kind of structures or parking areas, because if the kid falls off, they could hit the house or the car, and especially you don't want to set them next to a picket fence. And here's a picket fence. Here's that head again, and the problem is the kid falls off and they get impaled, and that is no good. I mean, that's not a good thing, is it? Nope, I don't think so either. Something important to remember. Now, one other thing is the equipment itself. Now, you don't want sharp metal edges anywhere. If you're using wood, you definitely want nice smooth edges like around here. You want to make sure everything is sanded nice and smooth, and you want to make sure that the bolts, you see that bolt? It's below the surface so a kid can't hit it, and the other side of that bolt is actually a rounded head. Very good. This is very bad. Again, if your kid fell off, you know, I mean, this is the kind of thing that can happen. It's ugly, isn't it? This bolt on this side isn't recessed either, the head, and even that can catch a child, and that's something that you definitely don't want to do. The main thing is use your head, talk to your kids, make sure they understand what the safety is, and make sure the swing set or the playground equipment is in really good shape with nothing protruding, and you've got a good soft base of mulch to fall on. Well, as far as yard structures go, I have to tell you, I really like playhouses and clubhouses, and this is a quintessential example. In fact, come on over here for a second and take a look at some of the features inside here. Now, this has a plank floor. It's all finished naturally. It has a ladder going up to a little loft above. It has windows. It has this great stenciling all along the wall, too, that somebody put in there. It really is kind of cute. I love it. In fact, here come the kids that play in it. Hi, guys. How are you? Good. Here, you want me to close that for you? All right. See, it's great. Kids even play in them. Now, how did this get built? Well, let's ask Steve to come on over here. Hi, Steve. Good to see you. Steve Chernicky, and he's out here in the Pittsburgh area, and this is one of your playhouses. It's really nice. What do you call this one?
Yes, this one, Bob, is the Storybook Bungalow. It's an English-style cottage, and it's one of our standard models.
You sell a lot of this model?
Yes, it's one of the most popular models.
It's great. It's got a little arch-top window up here with a heart, arched door, and all the windows. It even has a little mailbox and flower boxes. I mean, kids love this stuff, don't they?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We spend a lot of attention to detail. We try to make them something unique and something a little different.
Now, a couple questions about how they're made. Now, I think you said that you make them back at your place of business.
Yes, we prefabricate all the playhouses and panels at our shop, and then we ship them or install them in different parts of the country. They come pretty much ready to assemble. The doors are hung, the windows are hung, the shingles are put on, they're all painted, and it takes usually about 4 to 8 hours to put together.
So you have crews that come out and actually screw it all together, so you can even hear the kids playing in there. I love it. That's what it's all about. It has shingles on it, so the whole thing, 7 to 8 hours, they've got it put together and it's ready to go. Now, what's the cost of a unit like this, the average cost?
Yeah, our standard models, which are our 7 standard models, they range in price from $2,000 on up to about $6,000.
So you can get pretty fancy.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, are there any code issues at all involved with putting these in?
I can't say for sure. Every municipality is different, but normally, no. They're considered playground equipment and a temporary structure. They can be disassembled and moved at any time, so if the customer decides to move, it can be taken with them.
It's kind of like a gazebo. Oftentimes they just put them on a couple of big beams and just set them there, or yard sheds and those types of things.
Yes, we use a couple concrete pads and just at the pressure points and set them in place. And each unit weighs about 1,000 to 1,600 pounds, and that's usually enough to keep them in place.
Well, it's just fabulous. The kids are having a great time. But you have, back at your place of business, a display of all different kinds of options. I'd like to go take a look at that if we could.
Sure,
Let's
Bob.
do it. All right. An Art Deco movie theater for a playhouse. This is great, Steve.
Yes, this is our only indoor model. It comes with a movie screen, which doubles as a VCR, and has a balcony, a place for the kids to be indoors.
Well, the name of your company is Lilliput Playhouses, and I know that you sell a lot of them through catalogs all around the country. Is that primarily how you do your business?
That's correct, Bob. Most of our inquiries come through magazine ads, and we send the catalog and the customer chooses, and we ship them a playhouse.
It's a happy thing to do because this is a kid's fantasy world. I mean, what do you call this one? This is a beautiful little house.
This is the Princess Cottage. It's one of our most popular models. It has hardwood floors, a loft, wall stenciling, oriental rug, a doorbell, all of the amenities in a full-size home.
Yeah, no, the lofts are a big part. But look, you have a fire station. Oh, open the doors of that thing.
Yes, this is the...
Tell me it has, yeah, it has a pole and a fire hose.
That's right.
This
It's our
is beautiful.
firehouse. It's popular with the boys. It is a pole and a fire hose, a fire bell, and what we call the fireman's quarters up top.
That's great. Now, can people pick the colors that they want in general?
Yes, we have standard colors for all of our standard models, but people can choose to coordinate the colors with their homes or whatever colors they please.
Second Empire, mansard roof, tower in the front. What do you call this one?
This is the Victorian Mansion. It was the first playhouse we ever built for my daughter Alyssa when my wife and I were looking for a playhouse for her. And we made some changes on it, but it's basically stayed the same throughout the years.
So what's this one cost?
This ranges about $3,000 to $4,000 depending on the options you choose to get.
Now shipping, there's going to be a little shipping. Well, you said $200 to $500, but if you're buying it from out of state, you don't have to pay the sales tax, so it kind of offsets it. So
Yes.
shipping's not a big issue.
Yeah, no, it's not normally a big issue.
We saw this one earlier.
Yes, this is a storybook bungalow, very popular.
This is unbelievable. This is like almost like a full-sized house. You have too much fun. I mean, look at this. What do you call this one?
This is our Cotton Candy Manor. It is the most popular house. It's a Cape Cod style. It has amenities such as a fireplace. It has a second floor loft, which the children can leave and onto a balcony above the porch.
Yeah, it had balcony, porch, Tuscan columns, very classical lines, and down you even have a market. I mean, you have all kinds of things. It's great, Steve. This is a wonderful display. You make some beautiful stuff. Now, remember this for you out there, viewers. It's important to remember that you can go to a lumberyard. They have smaller kits, less expensive. They're not going to be as quality. Sometimes they have plastic playhouses and things like that. Or, like I showed you before, you can go out, get some scrap lumber, and build your own. But I tell you what, this is what I like right here. These are fabulous. To get in that swing out in Pittsburgh, but my bony little rear end wouldn't fit in the darn thing. So I came back to the Midwest to my favorite park, where the kids never let me go down the slides or anything. They're all gone. There's no kids here, so I get to go down this one. This is great. I think I can fit. Here we go. You ready? All right. Woo! That is so much fun. You know, having yard structures around your house for kids and some adults is not that big of a deal. It can be a lot of fun for your kids and you if you do it right. We've given you a lot of tips today. Just listen to those and you'll be in good shape. I'm going to go home right now and see if my daughter Megan wants to dig a fort. We didn't talk about that, did we? Oh, well, we can talk about that some other time. Until next time, I'm Bob Yapp, about your house.
About Your House with Bob Yapp was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.